Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this part 1 of the Notion Beginner to Mastery series, I will be going through the Notion application, describing all of the features and the user interface elements to help you better navigate the application. And then I will be talking about how to actually begin formatting blocks and how to use the various blocks that Notion offers so you can start creating your own documents. I will also show you how to use the keyboard shortcuts that Notion offers, especially Markdown, which tremendously speeds up your workflow, which allows you to be more efficient and create documents quicker. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sam and I do tech reviews and tutorials to help you become a better digital citizen. Now, I'm making the assumption that you are a beginner to Notion, that you basically just created an account and you are looking at the application for the first time and you don't really know what to do with it. I have split this video up into chapters to allow you to quickly navigate to the section that may interest you at the moment. Okay, so let's now switch to my laptop to show you how to use Notion. Okay, so before we get started, I want you to take note that I'm using the Notion desktop application, and Notion provides desktop apps for both Mac and Windows, as well as mobile applications. But I really highly recommend that you use the Notion desktop app. You can do everything I'm going to show you on the web version without any issues, but the desktop app provides you a little bit more flexibility. You always will have an icon on the bottom. You'll always have the Notion app, so you can always launch it quickly. It allows you to quickly dock things to the left or the right and work with multiple instances of the application. So let's say I'll just do quickly Shift Command N, and I want to do a second one of these and have it in dark mode. And let's say I want to open a different page and I want to have this page on the side because I have some other notes here and I want to copy and paste here. It makes it a lot easier to work that way. You can do that with the web version, but you have to open a new tab. Then you might have to detach the tab from the web browser, put the thing on the side. It makes things a little bit more annoying. So it's much better to do it with the Notion desktop app. I will put links in the description for that, so if you'd like to get those. Okay, so let's begin with the UI. I'm going to start on the left side of the UI, and let's start from the top. This is where you can switch to your workspaces. I have multiple workspaces, so you can switch here by just clicking and switching to these. Okay, so the first one I will talk about is Quick Find. And Quick Find allows you to find anything within this workspace. So if you have a page somewhere, because eventually if you're going to use this as a knowledge management database, you may have a lot and a ton of information. This allows you to quickly search through everything and to find what you want. And you can actually have some options. If you want to open it into a new window, you can just hit the Command or Control in Windows and just enter, and it will open it in another tab, and you can just keep going. Okay, so the next item here is all updates. Now, all updates is interesting. If you're working in a team environment, this first item here, inbox. So if you're working in a team environment, you could have other people mention you. You could have you just do the @ symbol with a person's name, and that person is part of your team members list. And you can enter, let's say for myself, somebody enters @Sam, I would like you to look at this, please. So here is where I would see these, and I can do something with them. And I can archive it, and they would go here if after I'm done processing that inbox information. So that's what inbox does here. Not necessary for somebody beginning with Notion that doesn't know how to use it yet, unless you're in a team environment, of course. Following has a listing of all the pages you may be following. So if you're working with a team and you have a bunch of documents that you guys are all tracking, you can actually say, oh, I'm interested in following these 3 pages today. So you can have quick access to these 3 pages, and you can see anything that may have changed in this particular document that you're following. All updates shows every update that has ever happened. As you can tell, I made some changes to this testing thing today, and every change shows up here. Useful to me because if I'm editing multiple documents and I forgot what I've changed, I can actually come here and find what I changed and just click and go to it. So that's pretty neat, actually. I've used this many times. An archive we just talked about, of course. So now let's go to the file area. This is where all of your pages will show up. You can have 4 different categories of files here. You can have a favorites. So favorites are, let's say I am working and I will describe this in a second. Say I'm working on this page, and I will be working on this page a lot. So what I can do is on the top right over here, and there's multiple ways to favorite it. There's this one here, or there's in this setting here. I could do add to favorites, and it adds a category favorites. So it allows you to have quick access to files you're going to use all the time. So this week you're working on this particular project, you want to have that front and center, it will go here. The next category is private. These are your own private pages. If you're working in a team environment, or if you have multiple members on your account, you're the only one that can see these pages unless you share them. The other category is workspace. And workspace is a category where your whole team has access to. So if you're a member of that workspace, that's where you may have a project that multiple people are working on and everybody can see those files. And the last category is shared, and those will be any files that somebody has shared with you. So somebody has shared a private document that they have, and you would only have access to that. The other thing below that, below the file pane, is templates, and templates will be another video in the future. Templates are pre-packaged pages. So Notion provides a lot of these that you can actually use for free, but we'll talk about this in a future video. But what templates are pre-packaged pages. So assume that this page that you're seeing here is something that I created that has a beautiful dashboard, that is a custom CRM that I created that's useful to me, and I want to send this to somebody else. I can package this as a template, and anybody else that I give access to can take it, pull it into Notion, and they have their own CRM ready to go. That is what a template is, essentially. Import, and this is another thing that it's a little bit advanced right now, and we'll talk in the future. Import allows you to import from somewhere else, as you can see. I have an Evernote account, and it is extremely bloated. And if I attempted to pull that in, it would make a royal mess. It's something you'd want to really think about before doing, but you can import specific document. Let's say you want to just pull in a Word document and just do something with it. You could do that, or CSVs, etc. But that's something we'll talk about in the future. And trash allows you to see everything you ever deleted in this workspace. And I've deleted some of the default things that come with a new workspace. So it all shows up here. In current page, and shows all, I've already deleted some just to show you, shows you everything that you deleted in this current page alone. So I had a couple of things in here, I deleted them, and they show up so you can see anything you've deleted from this current page. So that's all that is. So now starting with the top, this is called a breadcrumb. Breadcrumb allows you to quickly navigate up a hierarchy of pages. So as you see here, I have a page, I have another page embedded in here, and I have another page embedded in here. So if you see now, this breadcrumb here has increased. So if, let's say, I just wanted to go to the parent page real quick, just click parent page, and I'm right here. The left and right arrows, they allow you to go back one step of what you just did, or forward one step. So if I go back, I will go back to another page that I was at. And that's all this is. It's allow you to quickly navigate through your hierarchy of pages. Now to the top right. Share is where you're allowed to share a document. So if I want to share this page, I hit share, and actually let me go up the hierarchy tree, because actually I could share everything here. So if I do share, everything in this page will be shared to either people in my team or people that have access to Notion. So anybody that has access to Notion will be able to see this if I invite them. And I can add them here by searching the name, but I'm a single user, so I don't have any other people in here that I could show you, but you can just type their name and you just add them. And you can actually give them permission here. Say if they have full access, if they want to modify anything, or they just can edit but not share with others, or can comment, or can view. The other part of sharing is share to the web. You can actually have a website built by Notion itself. You can actually create a website, you can actually create a page and share it as a web link. So if I do share to web, I'm actually getting this web link here that I can copy and just send to anybody. They do not need to have a Notion account. Now I can allow them to edit. This is where you have to have Notion for this. So I can allow them to edit. I can allow them to do comments, which we'll talk in a second, and duplicate as a template, etc. So comments is where you can actually see all the comments that anybody may have left on this page. And I've used it myself just to make comments on things that I'm working on, and I just want to have little reminders. So let's say you have some sort of text here, say hello, and you would like to comment on this line. So you can either do it two ways. You can have to click the 6 little dots here and have comment, and you can say fix this and hit enter. And as you see now, I have a comment here, and you can see you keep entering them, they'll show up here. So imagine that this hello is, hey, fix this, something's wrong with it, I'd like you to comment and say hello world and have the H capitalized. So after I fix this, I can say, oh, this is resolved, this is done. Now the people that you're collaborating with will actually be able to see that you've resolved this, and you can actually see the resolved ones here as well. Any comments that you have resolved, and if you don't agree with the fix, you say reopen it, goes back. As you can see, once you do a comment, it shows up highlighted under here, so you can see even if this window is closed, you can see that there is a comment here, and that's another item that will show up in the settings. You can actually have these either show up like this in your document or show as small little icons. Okay, that is comments. We'll see more about that. History. This is where you can see every update that was made to this page. So you can see I made some edits to this already, and they're showing up here. And if you have the pro account, the paid account, you can actually go in here and see all the changes. You can actually restore these changes. So if I go to history here, you can see these changes. I can say I want to restore this one, and I can go and restore this version, and I will overwrite what I just did. So cancel that for now. We talked about favorites. This is where you can favorite this and add this to your sidebar, so you can actually have quick access. And now we're going to talk about the 3 dots here, which is the actual page settings. Actually, let me close this so it makes it easier to see. So the unfortunate part with Notion, you don't have many options with fonts. You have these 3 to choose from. Small text makes the text tiny or tinier. Depends on your preference. I kind of keep it, I like seeing it bigger. Full width makes full use of the page. So let me add some lorem ipsum here. And you can see how it looks like in just regular text. You can see that it just uses maybe half of the page. I personally like reading it this way better, because once you do full width, it does the whole page, and that could be okay for you, or maybe not, easier to read or not. Where you would use this is probably databases, so you can use the full width page of the database, and that way you can see all of your columns depending on how many you have. And oh, one thing I forgot to mention, you can actually close the sidebar if you don't like it by closing it here, and you see there's a quick shortcut command, which is the command \. So you can do that, and when you highlight here, it shows up if you want to get to your sidebar quickly by just hovering over it. But that way you can have the full width of the page. I'll just turn this on for now by clicking it again. It locks it back in place. So I will turn that back to not full width. Customize page. This is something we will talk about in the future. This is backlinks. You can actually have a backlink to another page, and when you hover over it, you will actually see the contents of that page as a popover. So top level discussions. Another thing that you have on the top here is add comment. So if I click this, this is actually a discussion you can have with other people that are part of your team, and all of this discussion is on top of the page. It's condensed all the way to the top. This is not the comments, but this is almost like a chatting area for just this document. You can attach things here as well, attach documents if there's a file you want somebody to see, and all this can make this document extremely large. So if you want to, you can come here to the customize page and you can say off, and it hides the comments for this page after you've done chatting with it. And the page comments, as we discussed earlier, here's the minimal. And I think the comments was on this another page. No, was it on the parent page? There. So if I do minimal here, customize, and do minimal, you will see now that the comment is a little square little box with a 1 here. And if I click it, I can see it as a pop-up, and I can do what I wish with it, and it goes away, so save some space. Okay. Add the favorites you have here. Oh, lock page. So if you're working with other members or for yourself, let's say you have a document that you finished and you do not want to touch it. If you do lock page, you're not allowed to edit this page. It cannot be edited. Other people that have access can undo the lock, and there's 2 ways to do it. You can either go back into the 3 dots and click unlock page, and then you can continue editing, or you can just click, you see the locked up here. You can just click it. It's unlocked. You can make a quick edit. Let's say you wanted to fix this and say, hello world. Fixed it. Say relock. That's done. Undo, self-explanatory. Page history, we just went through. It's the same as up here. This one gets you directly to the restore area. So if you don't have the Pro, you'll see this will be locked, but you can see all the edits you've made here. The show deleted pages is the same as we did with the trash. If I do show deleted pages, it only opens up in the current page only. It takes you to the filter right away. And finally, we delete the page, of course. Import. If you want to import a document, let's say you have some Word document, it's the same thing we saw earlier. You can actually pull in a Word document or anything else into this page itself. And export, if you want to export whatever document you have as PDF, you want to deliver it, print it, etc. And the final thing is connect the Slack channel. If you're using Slack, you can actually connect to this page on Slack. So you can connect your Slack account to this page. So whenever a change is made to this page, you can get notified. So another team item here, and move to, if you would like to move this to another workspace. So if you move, this page would actually move from here and go to one of my other workspaces up here. So that is all the settings you really need to know. So now we're going to get to how to actually create pages. In the first intro video, there was actually just a quick walkthrough. I mentioned that everything is a block, and literally everything in Notion is a block. If let me unlock this page, and I will go to this test page that I have here. So let's say all I do here is do a divider line. And if I do 3 dots, it just adds a divider line because I want to divide 2 items. This little divider is actually a block. And you know that by these little 6 dots here. Everything in Notion is a block. This page is a block. The subpage is a block. And so is this. So when you see a page here, you can think of it as a container of blocks. That's what a page is. A page is a container of multiple blocks, and of course the page itself is, think of it as the master block. So everything in Notion is a block, and there is a really neat reason for this. It allows you to move things around quicker. So if you have a block of text, where was this lorem ipsum was here. So as you can see, this lorem ipsum is a block. I can take it, let's say I want to move it below here, so I just moved it. I want to edit it somehow. I want to color it, so I can say here I want to change all this to red, so I just quickly change all this to red. A block can also have a link to it, so I can just take this and copy the link, and I can actually paste this link anywhere else and even share it if people have access to Notion. These are a little bit more advanced topics, and there are sync blocks and some other things that we'll talk about in the future that this is relevant to. A block, you can actually go and quickly change it into something else. You can change, you can turn this into a page. So let's say you created a document and you're like, well, I think this whole section could be its own document. It seems like it doesn't fit in here. You can actually turn this into a page. Let's say I want to turn it into a page here. As you can see, it left. It gave me a link to the new page that I created. And there is my new page here. A little funky font here, but it created another page inside here. So we got that. I don't have to undo that. So that is the neat thing. You can actually take this and you can start. What I can do now, let's say I want to have this block and I want to create columns. If I move this all the way to the right, oh, I didn't grab that right. If I move this all the way to the right, and you see now, you see that little blue bar that you see here. If I let go, I just created this into a column. And I can take this and say I want to put this as make another column. So I can quickly take these blocks and move them into columns. So there's a lot of functionality with blocks and a lot of flexibility by using blocks. So the other neat thing with Notion, if I go to this empty page, is exactly what you see, a very empty page. You do not see these humongous ribbons full of icons and buttons that Word has. Word has its place, but it is too complex for day-to-day use for the things that we want to use or to capture notes. So the beauty of this is how empty it is. And the way you create a new page, I will delete this and just create a new one, is you can either hit the plus button here to add a page, or you can do this down here as well. You can name it whatever you want. I'll call it Hello World. And you can open as page to fill the whole screen up. And now you have certain options here. Usually most people will just hit enter, and enter gets you into text mode. You can just start working right away. You don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to worry about templates. We'll talk about databases in the future. This is where all your databases are. This is if you want to create an icon right away, but usually most people just ignore all this and they just hit enter and they start. Notion creates an icon up here. If you choose it, it always defaults to some random one. You can actually change it. And the good thing with an icon, let me explain that you can also upload an image, your own image, or you can actually grab a link. So let's say you go to the web, you have a link to, I guess we can find something, pie image. So let's say I find this nice picture of a pie, and I like this, and I want to copy link to the page, to the image. If I paste it in and I enter, my bad, I forgot to click the link. So if I paste this in and I hit submit, it will pull in this pie. So icons are actually kind of important if you think about it, because what they do is they quickly allow your eye to go to what you want. If you just had a bunch of these little regular document icons all over the place, you'd sit there and be like, okay, which one do I want? Which one do I want? Which one do I want? Where when you see the pie, okay, I'm working on my pie today. There it is right there. I can click on it right away. So the other thing you can do is you can add a cover. Cover makes things look nice. You can have a project and it kind of gives you a little bit more of a visual eye candy, you could say, but it also kind of signifies what you're working on. So I'm working on pie, so of course it has a random whatever it chooses, but you can change the cover here. You can actually use some of their default ones that they have part of their packaging. You can upload your own picture that you've taken. You can do a link like we did a second ago, or you can use a service. They have a service that's free. It's called Unsplash. These are free to use images, and you can just search for something. Let's say I'm looking for pie again, and I want to pick, doesn't matter, I guess, pick this one. And it automatically adds a cover of pie up here. And I can reposition this if I want to. So I want to move it around, I want to here, save the position. Of course you can change it, and that's what that is. But it actually adds a little bit of flair, and it does add a little bit of a visual appeal, makes your document a little bit nicer to look at. Add comment is what we spoke about earlier, about having the conversation. So if you click on add comment, you can start a conversation below here. It's okay. So now we're going to talk about these slash commands. The beauty of Notion is all of the commands that you want are contextualized to what you're doing at that moment. So Notion's command begin with a slash. In this case, I want to start, as we said, everything's a block, so it tells you, it asks you, which block do you want to start working with? And you have a ton. And as you're working with it, you will know what you want. And there's a lot quicker ways than to just use a slash command. but these are all the ones you can use. And we're going to talk about the basic ones today. So let's say text block is where we're at right now, so it's kind of redundant to use that one. And as you're typing, let's say you want to do a bulleted list, it starts showing up what it is. If I want to use a numbered list, I can do numbered list. So it quickly filters out as you're typing. So let's say you want to do a heading, you can pick one, and there's keyboard commands for these. We'll talk about these in a sec. So now this is a block, you can start typing, my doc. And now you can start picking whatever you'd like here. If you say, let's say a bulleted list, and I want to say my doc, do first, do second. And now if I'm here and I want to escape out, I'm done with my bulleted list, I just hit enter again or escape, and you're back to your block selection. So now these two items are a block. This document itself is a block. So as you can see, each of these items is a block. So if I want to change this, it allows me to change it to something else. If I wanted to change this to a numbered list, I can easily change this to a numbered list. As you can see, it only did the one. I didn't want one, I wanted both. So there's a couple of ways to do that. Actually highlight them both, click the two dots, turn into numbered list. So, but the easiest way to work with these basic blocks, because if you see here, let me show you what you have. So your basic blocks are text, to-do list, headings, table, bulleted list, toggle list. All of these, instead of you hitting the slash command and searching for them and scrolling down and trying to figure out what you want, is to actually use the keyboard shortcuts. And the way to find the keyboard shortcuts is you can go right here on the help, little icon for the help, and you say keyboard shortcuts, and it will open up right to them. So Notion has two types of keyboard shortcuts. They have the typical ones where you have command option or command one, or those kind of command that you're familiar with, or for the basic blocks to use what's called Markdown. Now Markdown is a text formatting process that is ubiquitous and used with many applications. It is not unique to Notion. Rome uses it, Bear uses it, even Microsoft is starting to use it in many of its applications. What Markdown allows you to do is to do some of the basic things without your fingers ever leaving the main keyboard. No control one or command one, none of that. So for example, I will show you how I was just doing the bulleted list. So in this case, if I want to do a bulleted list, all I do is star space, and I got myself a bulleted list. I can start typing. Do first, and continue on, second, and exit out. If I wanted to change this, I can just backspace out, hit one dot, space, which makes it into a list. And now this is a list. If I hit enter, I will get a list. I can exit out, not do that. If I wanted to do a checkbox list, I can do a to-do list this way. So you can have 1, 2. Another block that Notion has is called a toggle list. So a toggle list allows you to embed a block inside of it, and allows you to hide it. So let's say you want to have a definition, but you don't want that definition always show. You can hit the greater than sign instead of doing slash toggle. See, I had to already type 3 letters just to get to where it says toggle list. So I can just do greater than space, and I got my toggle list, and I can call it whatever I want, my toggle. And the empty toggle, if I just start typing something in here, hello, and now what I do is I can hide it. And you can imagine that there's a bunch of text in here. I can actually just and there's a little quirk with toggles sometimes that you may have to drag what you want in here. Doesn't always work the way you think it would, but as you can see now, this is gone. I can add another one here. So you may have to do that for toggle lists. And now you can see this, all of this is gone. And that's what a toggle list does. But Markdown is the key. When I started using Notion or any of these applications, I keep this open to the side. And every time I start doing something where I have to, like, either my hands have to leave the keyboard or I have to start using the slash command, I will be like, is there an easier way to do this? So this is the key. When you get to this, you'll find yourself being so much more efficient and so much quicker. You're typing a document, you want to bold it, you do 2 stars, hello, 2 stars, enter, you get yourself bolded text right away. It is so much easier to do it that way. I really urge you to learn how to use Markdown. So some of the other things you can do with blocks, you can, as I showed you, you can actually change them and turn them into something else. So I can turn, and when you go here, it only shows you what you're allowed to turn it into. So if I want this to turn it into a quote, this just changed into a quote. My toggle list is gone. So if I want to, I can go right up top here and turn this back into a toggle. And there you go, you got my toggle again. Other things you can do, we saw how you can turn this into a page. So let's say you want this whole thing to be a page. You can change the coloring of it. You can either change the background color. So let's say it's orange. So you can actually make this stand out. And of course you can change the text color to whatever you like, red. So now other types of basic blocks that we have here, we see if we have talked about some of them. So heading, we can do headings real quick. We saw with Markdown, and you can change those it's so much easier than Word. I just remember just trying to use headings for different sections and paragraphs in Word, and it was just always a pain to just change the font size and then unchange it back. Here I can just say I wanted to do 2, and I have a heading 2. If I didn't like it that as a heading 2, I can backspace out and do it as a heading 3. If I wanted it to be smaller, and hit space, I have a heading 3. Other types of blocks, a table. A table here is a basic table. It is not the database kind. This is new to Notion, and this allows you to change the width. It allows you to have a table to just enter some basic information that you'd like to enter. And you can actually add columns here by just clicking the plus. You can add rows to the bottom. And this is just if you just want to have a list of information. It doesn't do any of the database features you think. You can change this. There's some caveats to that, but you can change this into a normal database table. But we'll get to that when we start talking about databases themselves. And just as a quick to see if there's any other ones we can talk about. But of course, without using the application, you just got to start using these. Callout's another interesting one. I'll show you that one. You can actually say want something to stand out. So you want to make sure, hey, please call this person. And you can change the icon here to something else, or please call danger zone, fire, whatever you mention. I don't believe callout has a Markdown or a command equivalent. I don't use it as often. I'm curious. No, it does not. There's no equivalent, so you have to use a slash command for this. Another thing I forgot to mention about quick find. If you have a very long document and you're looking to find something just within this document, if you do Command F or Control F in Windows, you get this here where it will just find anything within this document, just like normal Command F or Control F that works. So if I just do lorem, see, it will show it, and you'll see you have 6 matches of it, and you can just go through them. But this just finds whatever's showing up, whatever's you're seeing in the page right now. In the next video of this series, I will go through the advanced blocks, which give Notion a lot of power. So consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified when those are out. If you want to see my thoughts on this M1 Max MacBook that I've been using for a month, check out this video up here. If you'd like to see a random video that YouTube chooses, check this one up here. Thanks for watching.